AI candidates are now running for office, apparently. There's a few of these. This story highlights 3 different ones, which we'll talk through. So these are basically, yes, the AI chatbots that are known for hallucinating and, having harmful known biases are now running for office. I don't know how this differs from people, really, to be honest, or politicians, but, but there you go.
Facing humanity there.
They might have a chance to win. They might have a chance to win then. And that's
the thing here. This seems absurd until you actually stop and think, is it really that weird? So here's some different ones. Let's go through these. There's 3 that are listed in this article, and they're kind of interesting. So first one, and we'll talk about these in their own kind of right, and then I'll kind of introduce you to each one, and then you can give me your thoughts on each one. So let's start with AI Steve. So AI Steve is a UK-based one. He's running for UK Parliament. It was created by a company. So a company called Neural Voice, and the guy that runs the company created this. So Steve Endicott is his name, by the way, runs this company. So PR stunt much. I mean, but it is what it is. But they have said that this is and I quote, a way to revolutionize democracy by involving constituents in policy creation. So the way this works is it's a chatbot. People can go to the chatbot. They give it its opinions. They talk to it. They can ask it questions. It's been pre-fed some things based on whatever its political views are, along with whatever I'm assuming Steve Endicott's political views are. So it's pre-fed with that, and then it can take whatever the public tells it that they want, and it'll kind of get a consensus of that, and that's what it says it's going to do. So here's the thing. In the UK, obviously, the AI can't show up as a person in Parliament, so Steve has to be the Steve Endicott has to be the surrogate. He has to be the person that shows up. So, it's just
weird.
But he promises he'll go by what AI Steve says.
Mm-hmm.
So
the AI Steve that I program?
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think? What do you think about AI Steve? Anybody trust AI Steve?
No.
I mean, Kevin, who's going to represent the ideals of the AI robots? I mean, somebody needs to represent them in Parliament, and AI Steve is the guy to do it.
I don't think it's that, because this is just Steve Endicott.
No, exactly.
I think Steve Endicott, he's like, when they become self-aware, I want to show that I was always on the side of the AI and increase my chances of survival.
Look what I did for you.
Look what I did. Listen, Steve, that's not going to work. I'm just going to break it to you. They're not going to care anything that you did. To me, what's ludicrous about this is how you have to put AI everywhere. Everywhere, let's think AI everywhere. Let's do everything with AI, because that's the hype right now. And this is just funny. And for me, I really want to see of course, I'm not going to trust AI Steve, but to see what are the long ramifications of this hype and people implementing AI at so many different levels that it just gets so saturated with everything that there's so much trash content versus actual content. What does that mean for us as developing human beings? Do we then become distrustful of everything? It's what's going to happen? I don't know.
Maybe.
So here's my point. If Steve Endicott wants to run for Parliament, go for it.
Go run for
Parliament.
Right.
But if you can't be bothered to show up and answer a question, what are we doing? This is the height of laziness. We want to we want the job. We don't want to come to work. We want the paycheck, but I don't want to do anything.
It could have that vibe to it.
I mean, it's just really bad. And then the fact that he owns the AI company, this is clearly a stunt. But then we'll be duped into thinking that the bot's going to vote for the people instead of him coming out beforehand, like every other podcast says, this is what I believe in. This is what I'm going to do. And then when he doesn't do it, you vote him out. But here, he can always say, well, that's what the people wanted. That's what y'all wanted. Y'all wanted to be taxed at 120%. That's what you wanted. That's what you showed me.
Sure.
And that's what will happen. And then he'll say, vote with Steve until someone lobbies for, his AI company to get some kind of tax break or some kind of investment. And then he doesn't.
Right. I think it has ulterior motives kind of written on it for AI Steve for me.
For sure.
It feels a bit disingenuous.
Yes.
So let's talk about Vic though, virtual integrated citizen. This might alleviate some of those worries. This one, I think maybe. So this one, this chatbot is running for mayor mayor, bearing in mind, of mayor of Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Wow.
Okay. It was
I
created
thought
by
this was just a UK problem.
No. This is close to home. This is a global problem. This was created by a local library employee called Victor Miller, which hence where the name comes from.
Weird.
Vic.
Why do these
Virtual
people name it
intelligence.
after themselves? I mean,
He
come on.
didn't. He said the computer named it.
Oh,
He
sure.
did.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Right,
Sure.
Vic.
My
It just so
name is
happens to be
Vic.
the same.
It has to be the same. Yeah. Okay.
Agreed. So it's built on
Cool.
GPT-4. He claims it has an IQ of 155. He said that you won't vote directly for the AI because legally you can't. You will be voting. Guess for who?
Victor?
Miller.
What?
but here's what he's
I am
promised.
shook.
Here's what he's promised because apparently non-humans aren't allowed to run, which makes sense, right? That's
Makes
like a
sense.
legal issue. But he promises in quotes that the chatbot will do 100% of the voting, and he has promised to be, and this is a great quote, that he will be the meat avatar for Vic. He will do what the people want and do what the chatbot wants, and will have no say in it, and it will just go along with whatever Vic says.
What if
Sound
the
legit?
chatbot is telling like the rest of the city to eat a rock a day? I mean, are we?
That would never happen, Sarah. They don't hallucinate or have
course
biases.
not. Of course not. Sorry, I withdraw. I withdraw my question.
Yeah. So Vic, trustworthy?
No, because he doesn't want to do the job. He doesn't want to be mayor. Like, what are we doing? Like, he just wants the paycheck and not do anything. And then also, it's the accountability thing. He won't be accountable to this. He'll say, that's what Vic wanted. You know, I can just see
Right.
it now.
Yeah.
Vic voted you a private jet. Yes. We need a private jet for the mayor of Cheyenne, Wyoming. That's
What he wanted.
That's what you wanted me to have. I have it.
Right. And part of this too is like not like, and I have a huge problem with like today's generation just not taking ownership of anything.
Nothing.
Like they just don't like have any like taking ownership, but if there's another word for it, I can't think of it. But it's the same thing. He's like, oh, I don't have to make any decisions or anything like that. I just have to like type it in and the decision is made for me. I don't have to do any real work. I don't have to make the hard decisions. Like, oh, if you hate the decision, well, this is what this said and you guys voted for it. So it's not really my responsibility. Like being in government, like that's the ultimate, like take responsibility for what is happening
Right.
job. And you can't just like pass that off to like, oh, well, that's what AI said. Sorry.
Welcome to
I
Boomer
mean-
Land, Sarah. You're a boomer now.
What's ridiculous?
60
No,
years
you're,
old.
You're boomer in thought now. Like,
Yeah.
get off
Yeah,
my
yeah,
lawn.
exactly. It's anybody over 20 years old. That's the definition. But the crazy part, it's like, don't these people know, like, that it hallucinates all the issues that come with it? It's not like, you could coax it to say whatever the hell you want. You could
Yeah.
have it to have an agenda that you want. You could make it like whatever you want, and it's still not perfect. And the fact that these folks are just like, again, it's like funny to me that AI hype is getting so big that it's affecting like people actually considering, let's make these AI bots to run for politicians. And to me, what would be funny though, like, why if they do really well? You know what I mean? And it's like, and then what if like, will be funny if like the AI starts saying like, don't listen to the guy that created me. I'm the actual real deal. He doesn't know what he's talking. Like, I mean, what do you do in that case? And so to me, it's just hilarious. And I think like, to everybody's point here, that at some point there's going to be like an AI bubble burst and things are going to equalize. But I think the ramifications of people jumping onto these bandwagons, and I think it's cool. Like, I'm sure like, this is used for some sort of marketing like thing, and it's working because here we are talking about it. But at the same time, it's like crazy how most of the population, to them, because AI seems like magic, they think it's beyond like where it actually is. And they're starting to make life decisions based on this hype that is not actual reality of where things are. And like, I follow these investor podcasts that I watch, and a lot of them, like, they're hesitant to bet all their money on AI yet because it's just not like, it's not 100%. Like, it's I guess it's
They
not.
should be hesitant.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a bubble
not
coming.
predictable result. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's good for certain tasks, but there's like a huge flaw with you trying to get things that are consistent and make sense without any human like interaction.
So the people that are going to cry about when all the jobs are gone and we're on universal basic income and it's $12 or something like that, we can't grow potatoes in the backyard because of whatever. It's the same people that would just do this and not do the job that they're required to do. And there are people trying to automate their job now with AI and automate themselves out of a job. And it's never going to do what a human can do. As a mayor of Cheyenne, Wyoming, you have important things to figure out. And I don't know what all those are.
You got to make the hard decisions.
There's some hard ones. You got a budget and what pothole gets fixed. I don't know.
Right.
But there's other things, just, problems, that you run into. And it's like, and in Parliament, it's even worse. This thing's going to decide if we go to war or not. I mean, what are we talking about? Should we not launch nuclear weapons? Well, let's ask AI Steve, hey.
AI Steve is going to say something like, eating rocks will make you invincible because rocks will make a stone wall inside your stomach. They'll be impenetrable to like missiles. It's like, are you kidding me right now? So, it's crazy. So one thing that people have to understand with AI, it cannot create things that did not exist. So one example I heard from someone that I forgot who said it, but he basically said, let's imagine that, and he said like some point in 2020 before AI like drones were created. Like, so the technology to create those drones did not exist, right? It just nobody invented it yet. And he said, let's say your AI is trained to that like point. And if you ask AI to create something that did not exist, like those drone copters, it would not have the required data to be able to make that assumption or that leap because it didn't exist yet. So what people have to understand, like AI, it could only like backlog the knowledge that we have and only give you answers on the knowledge that was given to it. It cannot create anything new, and it cannot do that. And so to me, when I think of like AI, all I think of it is just like a fancier predictive search that's able to, help you out with certain tasks, but it has limitations that like you have to be aware of, and that's it.
Yeah, creativity is hard to explain, but when you know it when you see it, because it's always the same thing. Like, wow, that's a good idea. I wish I thought of that. And it's like things like the pencil, and then that's the best thing since sliced bread. Really, no one thought of slicing bread before then. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
Right. Until that one guy did it. And you're like, that's a really good idea. Right. It's like, and that's creativity. That's like knowing a need and having a need. Like I've always said, AI has needs. It doesn't have needs or wants. And that's like the mother of necessity is, it's the mother of invention is necessity. So like these things happen because someone has a problem or a need and they figure out a way to do it. And especially great ideas are just like simple, all the time simple, and like, why didn't I think of that? That's amazing. That's so cool. Yep. And AI doesn't do that. And that's why it will always be second fiddle to a human. A human will always be smarter. And we shouldn't advocate the thrones of power to an AI. It just doesn't. I think this is a ruse to these guys to get the way they want to not have accountability.
I think so. Let's talk about the last one here too, then, just real quick. So Yas Gasparda, this one's running for Belarusian parliament. I think this one's slightly different. So this is also built on GPT-4. This one's slightly different in the way that this the creator behind this is, and I'm going to try and pronounce this, but I'm really going to butcher it. It's Svetlana Sikhanouskaya or Sikhanouskaya maybe. From Belarus, but
well done.
they've said the quote from this one is, frankly, he's more real than any candidate the regime has to offer. And the best part, he cannot be arrested. This is like a protest AI.
Amazing.
This is literally like this is a protest AI. This is part of like Europe where it's like, maybe it's not as settled as the US, although maybe it's more settled.
I'm just saying
I'm like, I don't know.
But
have you seen our presidential candidates this
I
year?
guess he's onto something. Svetlana is onto something.
He's a good-looking guy, though. At least
this one has a persona. This one actually has a persona. This is it has an AI generated headshot. This is Yas Gasparda. So this one generated a headshot and everything for it. So it's this one's more of a just like a protest thing. But it brings up the question. So I was wondering, like, maybe, we have two options here in the US at the minute. I know we have more, but it's pretty
We have
much
two.
we're pretty much a two party system. That's how it works. So we have two candidates. So I thought, what if I kind of made one? So I'm going to present to you
Yes.
Jeff Tridon. This
I
is
think he's gonna
my
win.
AI chatbot for president. Now here's the thing, right?
I love
I
it.
gave Midjourney the prompt of an AI president. That was it. This is what it gave me back as an
Hey,
image. I
Looks
gave it no
legit.
other prompt.
Looks respectable.
Looks
legit.
like one of our
Legit.
presidents.
Got
for
my
sure.
vote.
I know, right?
So I came up with the last name Tridon because it's a mix of two guys, that are kind of running for president. But the Jeff obviously came from the fact that this looks kind of like a Jeff. to
It does
me.
look like a Jeff.
Yep.
That's
But apparently
100% Jeff.
Midjourney thinks that apparently Jeff Bezos should run for president. That's what I get out of this.
Yeah.
It does
There's
look a
definitely
little
likeness.
Bezos.
There's
Yeah.
the likeness.
It's
But
very Bezos.
The thing is, that's what frustrates me about AI. Like somebody was talking about how they made a song with AI. I'm like, you didn't make it. Same with
Yeah, you
image
didn't
generation.
make
You
it.
didn't make it. You don't draw it. They basically took a bunch of images that are used to train it and algorithmically recreated that image for you. But if the data did not exist, you would not have this.
Jeff Tridon.
Yeah.
running for
It's like-
president. He's independent, by the way. If you're
Right.
interested.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Does he have policy positions yet? I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, all of them.
All of them.
okay.
He is both for and
He's-
against.
He's
Yeah, yeah,
literally fed everything, yeah. And whatever you ask him, he's going to understand, however you phrase your question, he's going to be
Right.
like, do you also hate this? He'll be like, yes, I do.
Yes, I
yeah,
do.
It's hilarious.
So
what's his
great.
view on tariffs? I'm just curious.
He's fed to appease. Well, he's
Okay.
going to ask you first, what is your view on tariffs?
Yeah, hilarious.
He's just
He's
fed to
a-
appease.
He's a therapist. He's like, how do you feel about that?
Exactly. And he will make you feel good and agree with everything that you
The
say.
interesting thing is about this: who collects the data of everything that people put in? Because people might be
Right.
asking questions like jokes. Some people could be asked serious questions. Is there an FBI list attached to this? Like, hey, this person asked some serious questions here. Let's, So, that's the biggest thing with AI stuff and chatbots. It's outside of all this stuff, it's who gets the data because it's going somewhere.
I will say, if any of these AI people win, and it kind of brings me back to when we were talking about that AI CEO, several months ago, when a company decided to make their CEO an AI. But if something like this gains traction, it is indicative, I think, of the absolute flaw in our current system. If people are going for the AI over human people, okay, we've got to change something up because if this is our best choice, we're in trouble.
But you could also see why somebody might jump to that conclusion, right? Because they're saying that the AI is by the people, which is what your representative's supposed to be. We all know that when you put a representative there, they don't listen to anybody. They just have their own opinions. You're voting them in based on what their opinions already are. You
Right.
can't sway them. It just is what it is. They're not your voice. They're their own voice. You're just agreeing with them.
Right. You
and
have
that's
to
just
vote
how
on
it
their
is, right?
positions that they say
Right,
they
exactly.
take.
So it's they're going to do whatever they want to do. And if somebody comes in and lobbies them, they'll change their positions and maybe they just change parties. We've seen that too. You're not voting. You're voting for that person, nothing else, and the way that they feel about the subjects, not the way that you can make them feel about the subjects.
100%.
So this one, they're claiming that, hey, you can sway this person. This is AI. You can sway it. If you get enough people giving me the one idea, I'll take that idea. So you could see where that leap comes from.
Yeah, but here's the problem too is our founding fathers, although we complain about our electoral college and everything like that, it was smart of them to put that in place because as a population, we're really dumb. When you get a group of people together, they make terrible choices. And so you can't just leave it up to the voice of the people for the most part because they're not gonna it's not gonna go well.
And you think it wouldn't be that, would you? You think the
Yeah.
consensus would come to a good decision, but we don't. A lot
No,
of times we don't.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's complicated, and but the AI is not going to. That's not the answer. So
I agree. The AI is not the answer. I think that's the ultimate thing here.
No.
The AI isn't the answer.
I mean, if the guy doesn't want to do the job, don't vote him in. He doesn't want to do the job. So
Right.
it's just stupid. And if you don't want to build a website, just don't turn it over to an AI because it's not going to do it either.
Here's the thing. I'd like to give this challenge to anybody. As an experiment, just say to yourself, every question I have at work, at life, with my family life, with everything, I'm just going to use AI for 6 months, and I'm only going to do what AI is going to do. If you end up in jail or arrested, God bless you.
You're going to be dead, man, because you ate
And
rocks
you're going to be
yesterday.
dead. Yeah,
Or
probably gonna be
dead.
Rocks. Your kids
Jail,
will have glue
dead.
pizza.
What-
So that's what people don't understand. It's AI at its current form. It's a random word generator that uses statistics to generate things that sound believable and they make sense. And it uses corpus of data that it has. And sometimes it says stuff that is so believable that of course it's smart. But then sometimes it says dumb stuff. You're like, oh yeah, it's a statistical generated random making machine. And so I think if you understand that's what it is, you're able to use it productively in a way that makes sense rather than having things like this.
It just lacks discernment, and discernment's hard. Also,
Right.
a hard thing to explain. But it's based on your life experience, your current state of mind, or whatever you're at. Should I eat the hamburger? For some people, it's a good idea. For some people, it's a horrible idea. Should I drink socially? For some people, they can do it. For some people, that's going to throw them off the wagon, and they're in AA next week. So there's discernment that you need to have, and AI lacks that. Because one drink a day isn't bad, right? For an alcoholic, it's the worst thing you
That's
can
terrible.
do.
That's terrible. Yes.
So it's
Right.
and they got to have discernment. It's just
Right.
bad. And it just doesn't have that. It's not creative. It'll never replace a human. Humans will always be superior to that. But if you don't want to be a human and you want to relegate everything over and you end up being enslaved. That's what will happen
Yes.
when you stop thinking for yourself and having discernment and being educated on topics. You end up being a pawn of whatever the system and power is. So I don't know. That's very boomerish right there. So,
No, but that makes total
Well,
sense.
dystopian.
Because I was me and my trials and everything.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if the jury was made up of AI? They don't have discernment, and they can look at all the facts. Okay, well, what fact is real? And it's I don't know. Because they can't discern the veracity of who's telling me this fact.
right.
As a human, I'm like, oh, dude, that guy is lying
He is
through
lying.
his teeth.
How do you know that?
Yeah.
I just know.
I know. Right. But an AI wouldn't be able to
That's what he
figure that
said.
out. They're just
Yeah.
gonna say this fact and this fact are contradictory. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Let's hope, Kevin, that your guy Jeff doesn't win presidency.
Yeah.
You probably will.
I'm just saying,
Oh, yeah.
anybody that's interested,
Possible.
go to jefftrident.com and you can vote for no, I've not registered that, but maybe I should
Just
now.
write it in.
Just
before
take
you
donations to your
release it,
PAC.
do
Yeah.
yeah.
I am taking donations.
Oh my God, dude, that's a new scam to rob people. Holy Jesus.
I mean,
You create a
Paul,
website.
it's no more of a scam than the other guys.
right.
I mean,
100%
just
true,
saying.
100% true.
Dude.
But I'm telling you, we should use it to collect funds to take a vacation.
Does that yard sign really cost $45? It doesn't.
Register that domain name and
Yeah.
let's do a campaign.
do a campaign.
Jeff
Yeah.
Jeff Trident for
for
president.
president.
Yeah.
See how much traction we get. It could happen. We'll be the next one on one of those lists.
I was going to say they're going to update this story. We're going to be number 4.
It'll be number
No, we're
4.
gonna be number one.
Running for
We're gonna be
U.S.
number one.
president is Jeff
Number
Trident.
one.
We'll go to the debate. We'll go.
Oh yeah, I'm not doing the debate. That's not me. I'm not being the what was it called, the meat puppet.
No, you
The
just put a
meat puppet.
speaker up there. We put a little
No, we
Siri
bring a
device up
TV
there.
screen. We're gonna buy that scary head from the last one. That's gonna be the representative. To me, it's just wild. Don't people watch science fiction like Terminator? Dune had a whole thing.
What
for a while.
happens?
You're not supposed to
you
have
just
computer.
give up,
Yeah.
and they take
But-
over.
I am curious to see the bubble bursting and what that's going to look like. And I hope that not a lot of people made a life decision thinking that AI is at a certain level where they decided not to do something, or let's say get a certain career choice because of AI or like what have you. And then 2-3 years from now, they're like, oh man, like I shouldn't have kept up. I shouldn't have not made that stupid decision. Cause like in my thing, like learning to code, like people ask me that all the time. And I talk to people who gave up learning and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it's like, no, like this is so dumb. It's like, but it is scary because the thing that people say, this is where it is right now. So what is it going to look like 5 years, 10 years from now? But I still think the process of living as a human being, like for instance, like with all the music creating things, like people like, Paul, why are you even learning music? Like you could just use one of those tools to create your song. And I'm like, you idiots, you don't get it. I'm not learning music for like having a song. I'm learning music from the enjoying process of creating something myself. That's the part that I like, not the end result. Like end result is cool, but I do music because it's the process of music. So when like someone's like, oh, I created a song, like it's like I'm not excited about it because you didn't do anything. Like, and it's cool, and it's fun, but that's not where I get joy. Same for artists. Like artists get joy from, you know, the actual process. What I don't like is that, you know, it is going to change like the level to entry where someone's like, this is good enough for me, so I don't need to like hire a musician or an artist to create a thing. But at the end of the day, though, that came from someone who controls that. This is like the thing that I hate about like any service, like, and that's why I try to use like all my own services, because I don't want to give money to those platforms. Like Midjourney, I stopped my membership because they're like, if you want to use our stuff commercially, you got to pay us money. I'm like, for what? Are you paying money to those creators whose data you use? Like, are you doing that? Same thing with music. Like I tried that music service and they're like, hey, if you want to use your music, like you need to pay our $20 monthly. I'm like, for what? Like, and where does it go to? Like, it's like
you're paying for the processing, aren't you? You're paying for the, you're paying
but
for
they have
the
free, they have the free tier.
They do, but then you're subsidizing that free tier by having that paid tier.
That part makes sense. They should say that straight up, you know, because like they should be clear about it, because like that makes sense. But at the same time, it's like they're still benefiting as a company. They're making money somebody else's labor. And like, I'm not, you know, making money off this thing, but I mentioned like this tool that I created that takes any video, converts it to a blog post. And I'm doing it more for like notes for myself. But as those blog posts get published, I'm sure I'm getting some sort of SEO like benefit of that 100%. Content. I didn't create it. I like basically transformed the content from video to what it is. And originally I created for my own videos, but now I'm like, hey, like I don't want to spend like all this time to watch the video. And so like, I think what I do like on my content, I always post the original video. Like I never say like, oh, this is my content, because no, it's just notes on the content that I watch. But the fact is like, I would never feel right about taking that and making it a paid thing where people paying for that content, because I'm not the original creator. I like rephrased it or like showed it. But, and I think like people that create AI services, they have to be upfront with that. And I think the people that were part in like the data, or people that created, you know, songs that the models were trained on, they need compensation.
I think the one thing that I can be assured of, like, as good as Kevin's in outro songs are, you know, they're really, really good.
Outro song?
Yeah, it's really good. They're funny. They make me laugh. I don't think it'll ever come to the close of Hans Zimmer, like, or someone like that. You know, I mean, like, no. And that's what's going to separate, because they make things, and then especially in music or any kind of art, like film or whatever. I mean, if you watch a Scorsese film or a Nolan film, they're on a whole different level, and no AI Sora is ever going to make anything that's like Inception or like Interstellar, you know. And I always comment this about Interstellar, and Hans Zimmer did this track for that. I listen to a lot of music, but when they were on the planet and the wave came through in Interstellar, with the music on that, made me, the first time in theater, genuinely nervous. Like the butterflies were in my stomach because of the film, the acting, and the music on top of that. And I just don't think that's ever happened to me from an AI generated song. I've chuckled and laughed, and they're really funny when we make at the end of this. You should listen to it. But like, I don't know if we're ever going to make an album and sell it and do a Taylor Swift tour with it.
The crazy thing about it is, though, like even on Hans Zimmer, like example, it could create a song like Hans Zimmer, because I'm sure some of his songs were used in the data process. You know what I mean? And that's unfortunate, but it'll never create something like original. And that's like one thing, like I've noticed with art, like I ask for stuff that nobody even considered. And so AI just generates this blurry things because it can't make sense of it because it doesn't have the data sets that match the thing that I want.
Right.
And like my famous example, I create a lion wizard who deals in pigeons, like a pigeon dealer. Like AI has no idea what it is. It's so like makes no sense. And same thing with music. Like if you ask it to generate something like you'll never generate songs that I write because like when I learn music, I don't learn different genres and try to make genre like I have some inspirations, but I try to try things out that I just want to do because it feels a certain way. And it's like Paul Braslavsky genre. And the only person may like it is Paul Braslavsky, but I'm fine with that. And AI is not going to create that if you say like, create a style in Paul Braslavsky because it doesn't have any of those data sets. Like obviously if I take AI and trade it out of my music, I could do that. But did AI actually create that? Or no, it basically took the data sets that it had from my songs and it rearranged them to sound like another song, but it'd still be very similar.
Yeah, I think the ultimate bubble is going to come to the realization when it doesn't quite reach the 100% that it's been promised to do. Mm-hmm. And what I've always said, the 90% that looks like magic, that next 10% is probably bigger than the 90. And it's just really hard to get there, especially in the movie generation, special effects, music, and art. I mean, we can make YouTube thumbnails all day long, right? But we're not going to fill an art gallery full of YouTube thumbnails. I mean, like it's really hard. And even the ones that Kevin creates, there's actually some creativity in. It's like there's a base image and there's other stuff and there's work on top of it. So there's a lot to it to make it great.
It doesn't just come out.
It just and people are just trying to like this guy is trying to run for mayor. I'm not going to do anything. He's telling you, I'm a meatbag avatar. I'm not going to do a thing. I'm not going to lift a finger. Like, what are we voting you in for, man? Like, I have ChatGPT too. I mean, like,
I saw a great quote recently. I can't remember who it was, but it was, and I totally agree with this, that the superpower from the human side of things with AI is taste.
Yeah.
Taste is the power when it comes to anything like artistic with it. Like, okay, so when I create the song at the end with this episode, the song that I created, there's probably 5 versions of it. You're only going to hear one of them, and it's the one that was the best version. You're not going to hear the 4 terrible versions that it spat out because they were bad. I'm just giving you the best one. Likewise with Midjourney, there's a reason Midjourney generates 4 images, because the human part of it is selecting which image is the best version that it created. So it definitely needs that, because I will tell you when I created the images for Jeff. It created some things that weren't good. They were terrible. They were nothing like Jeff. There was only one that it came up with that was Jeff. Mm-hmm. The other 3 that it came up with in its thing there were actually kind of bad. So here you go. So let me show you this. So these were the 4 images that it created.
Oh yeah.
3 kind of robots, and I said an AI presidential candidate. The 4th one was Jeff here, who looked like the most, clean-cut version.
Scroll down a little bit. Were those AI-generated images of like the lookalike of what's his face?
Yes.
Jesus, it's so creative.
Well, here's
what was the prompt for it?
I asked for the prompt for this one was a single person that looks like a mashup of presidents.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So, but here's what I did try before that. It's actually deleted it.
It must have
deleted it. Okay, so it wouldn't actually do the prompt. I wanted it to do an actual mashup of Trump and Biden,
and you put
make a person that looked like both.
Yeah,
and because it recognized those 2 things, it wouldn't generate it. But it did generate these. Look.
Yeah, here's the funny thing. Yeah, if you blatantly ask for something, they want to cover their butts and say we've never used those images in our data set.
Yes.
So, but look at that picture right there. They do exist there, and like
they do exist. You can make them. Yeah. You just have to be kind of like, and if you generate enough of these, I'm sure it will. If I ran this prompt 50 times, it would come up with a version that looked like something I want it to look like. Right. But again, taste is the thing here, right? So I chose this one because it represented my version of Jeff Trident better, right? Yeah. So these didn't. So taste is the thing here. And likewise with Suno for the AI app, like for the music app. Like I said, I probably have 5 versions of the end song you're going to hear, but you're only going to hear one.
Yeah.
Like Bobby said, discernment. Just like Bobby said.
Man, and I made music once, and I can remember going through it, and I generated some lyrics in ChatGPT, and then put that into Sono, and I was making it for a special case thing that we were doing. No reason to go into it, But I can tell you that even then, when I made the song, I would go back and regenerate it because I would go back and tweak the lyric just slightly and like, I don't like that word. I'm going to make this rhyme better, and then put it back in there. And I'm like, make it exactly like the last one. And it just won't do it. It makes a new song. I'm like, but I like the last one. I just want to change the word, like,
you can't do that.
And you can't do that. And so like you end up with, it took me, I think 50 or 60. I spent all my credits to make one song. It was crazy.
Those tools are getting better though. They have like in painting now where you can do some of that on some of the apps where you can take the melody or what it has or the music and you can rewrite the lyrics or rewrite a sentence in them. So those tools are coming. You can do some of that. But again, it takes interaction to do that. And it's the same thing for me when I do the song at the end of the show here. Like the lyrics aren't exactly the lyrics that it gives me. I change them every time. Usually around the chorus to make it more catchy, and I'll use the same words over and over again because the GPT lyrics won't tend to write lyrics like an actual song. It'll write like just rhyming lyrics. It's more like a poem than a song. So I make it into a song by changing the lyrics, definitely, and then having it, like you say, sometimes if you give it the word like AI and you run the two things together, it tries to pronounce it as a word, not AI. It pronounces it wrong all the time.
Going back to it though, like to me, oh Jesus, what's frustrating for me is that people have to understand it will never create something new. So before Amy Winehouse existed, AI would not be able to generate, Amy Winehouse music. Same thing for any other like songwriter or creator. And the fact that like it frustrates me is that I think there's definitely going to be a push where like Spotify will have a majority of its music AI generated. And as a listener, you're like, it's good enough. I could vibe to it as I'm cleaning my house. And even though that's messed up, but for some people, good enough is good enough. But the problem I have is that it's like when someone creates music, it's not a bunch of prompts that go into them. It goes like the struggle of life that they've been through, like Amy Winehouse's case, everything she went through, like her soul is in her music. And to me, like, I feel like even though there's going to be a lot of this AI stuff, I think as human beings, we have to be like, you know what? I can't relate to AI because it's a machine. I want to relate to human people. And that's why we should even more so now support like actual real life creators in the process of doing stuff.
I think they're always going to win, man. I think I think we're in this weird period where they're not seemingly they're going to get caught. But you're right that AI will never write the great breakup song. Like there's a lot of great ones over the time. Like when you're having that bad day in college, you're like, listen to the breakup song.
Yeah.
For me, it was "Hey Now, It's Over." I still remember that song.
Dude, I remember I had like. It was a trifecta of terrible things happened in my life. And there was this album Radiohead that's already depressive.
Yeah.
And it's just like every time I hear songs from the album, I'm like, my God, like brings me to tears because I have all these emotional baggage. It's not just the music, it's the fact of stuff that I went through. Same thing with like Eminem's song called Stan, which it's a very like crazy song, but like they had like a life experience that attached to it. And because it's relatable, like because of like, what Eminem went through and like I'm not saying I'm Eminem, but my life story and like how our situations. Yeah, right. Exactly. If someone says I resonate to the song created by AI, it's like you're resonating to a data set that another human created. It's not AI, right? It's like, that's the thing. It's like, it'll never be relatable to you ever.